Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all other people who'll be watching the stream today. I'm going to try something a little bit different with what I've actually been doing this evening. I've actually just kind of picked up a couple of news stories and I wanted to check them out and probably do a little video and talk about them and my own personal interest and what I would love to do with these bits and pieces of information. So we're going to kick off with the fact that Google Glass Explorer is now available within the UK. We are able to purchase the Google Glass and be able to check it out. So as you can see here, we're actually on the Google Play Store page, and look how much it is costing us. I have thrown it down onto a wish list. You never know what way might happen. Win the lottery, we'll happily join in. But something like this, the Google Glass, it has been, the phrase glass hole has actually been bandied around, and I think it's actually probably a good description of somebody who'd actually be using the Google Glass on a regular basis. But as a project tool, as something to actually have on you whenever you're trying to wander around doing filmmaking, I think this could actually be particularly useful. The Google Glass is unobtrusive to yourself anyway, not to the people who are standing around watching you because of that same feeling that they have being recorded at all times. But if you know the context of it, there's a blinking red light to tell people that you're using it, I suppose it's not that bad. The Glass Explorers, from chefs to cyclists, glass explorers are the first to make, move, and marvel through glass. They're bold and inspiring. They help shape the future of it. I mean, essentially, this is the beta test. This is the beta test of a piece of equipment that has already been beta tested by so many people already, especially stateside. And it's been the ergonomics and the actual design of it has changed slightly from what I remember the original Google Glass being put out as. Now, of course, it's the fashion side of it where you have your bits and pieces, the accoutrements that you're going to have attached to it. Chargers, headphones, connectors, goggles, shades. And I love the fact that there's actually these particular kind of like bit hipsterish kind of frames for everything as well, but it's not that big of a deal. Oh, excuse this. That was just a little bit of background noise. So what it does, of course, it's technology for technology's sake. I mean, the fact that you can use the Google Glass to take photos, find videos, tag things, send messages, record, it has a lot of functionality built into the thing. And, well, there's not too many issues with actually having enough storage on it because of how much Google like to use their cloud services, but it's still a piece of tech that has not really taken off. The idea wearable computing is not a constant. I mean, we still have issues with it because we don't have the full functionality and we have access issues, especially if using voice commands or anything else. Because one of the big problems I'm sure they're going to find with using the Google Glass in the UK is their pattern recognition for speech over here, especially with people speaking faster like I do myself, and people with such a heavy variance of accents in a small area. That's a bit of a limitation looking at the camera. 5 megapixel photos, 720p video. I'm sure there's probably going to be better models in the future that actually will increase that, but I mean, for such a portable small device, that's not too bad. I mean, I've used spy camera glasses and small camera systems that have actually shot worse than this, but admittedly they shot worse than this and some of them shot just as good as this, but on a much smaller budget. I mean, essentially what you're paying for here is not for a good camera system for this £1,000. You're paying for Google tech, the integration that it all has built into Android apps and everything else above. Now also the audio, built-in bone conduction transducer, that's pretty cool. Being able to hear through your jawbone because of audio conduction is a nice touch and something that I wouldn't mind hearing and seeing more often. Especially bone conducers for waterproof headphones and MP3 players and the sort as well. And Wi-Fi connection for devices and of course Bluetooth. Now, yeah, 12 gig usable memory synced with Google Cloud Storage. So you actually have your Google Cloud Storage and then 16 gig total, assuming 4 gig being used for system resources and everything else. And battery power, 1 day of typical use. Video will always end up eating battery earlier, so let's say conservatively 12 to 18 hours if you're actually going to be using it for any form of video editing or video recording during your day. Now, I like the idea of using the Google Glass to record things during the day, especially if you're doing location scouting or you happen to be on a purposeful kind of like run through an area, or you're actually like talking through a project with people around you. Because I mean, if you can record audio and video, you can really kind of block out scenes really comfortably. If I had access to something like this, which I would probably want to do if I'm going to grab a replacement spare pair of spy specs or recording devices of any sort, is say for example, my intention is to go and do film production, film production masters. Something like this would be very useful. I mean, this is actually a tool that hasn't been kind of like focused on this particular device. I mean, as it is, people are using it to record bits and pieces of their daily lives, the daily blogger thing, but I don't think this is actually where it lies. It lies in a completely different space. So, what are your opinions? Give me your comments, thoughts on it, and we'll move on to our next little kind of clip here. Now, this is something that I find a little bit interesting. The idea of batteries being run on hemp. There was recent tests done to use hemp it's for superconductors rather than graphite, which is actually proved to be expensive in production. And I think the tagline people have been using for this story is the battery that you can smoke. Now, this isn't marijuana plant. This is hemp, as in the same way hemp rope or hemp clothing or anything else is used on a particularly versatile piece of materials. Use them in batteries. I think that's a great idea. I mean, essentially, no matter what, using them as actually conductive materials for batteries and for any chargeable devices, it would be a nice change in the future to actually have something that we know is more biodegradable, but also would be just as effective at doing its job. I wouldn't mind seeing batteries going back up in size. You know, we chat about camera batteries or Canons and whatever else. They usually are fairly bulky. But if we return to a less destructive battery type that actually does take up more space, I think a lot of people would be very accepting of actually losing the compactness that we have now, because we've all switched from devices in the micromanaging of small devices to actually using larger screens again, especially with the idea of phones. I think a lot of people would probably accept it and actually go back to it, but this is a really quick, just a little point. Try new technologies. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find alternatives. So, thank you very much for listening. This was just a little kind of screen test idea. Thought it would actually be worth giving it a try. If you like, comment, subscribe, and re-look at the stories. Most of these, both of these will actually be posted underneath the video. So just give them a try out and take a look and read more into it yourselves. All I can do is give you a passing glance. Thank you very much for listening.